Hello and welcome back to the Big Strong Leicester Boys podcast. Yeah, we're promised we would come back and do some bits and pieces, some podcasts for you throughout the course of the season. So here we are. I hope you're enjoying a little bit of a break from the doom and gloom that has been Leicester City for the last year or so. And literally just as we started there, Ric Flair joined us fashionably late, but always somehow perfectly on time as well. But look, that music there, if people remember, that was the original tune that we started this podcast with all those many moons ago. So we thought we'd go with that one today. So look, Rick, Jordan and Jack are here. Jordan currently kind of James Richardson-esque, sat outside a cafe in London, headphones plugged in with a beer. Jord, how are you, my man? Are you well?
I'm very well, mate. A bit conscious that it might be a bit loud, but as you said, I'm going for the Gazzetta Italia vibe, or the weren't Gazzetta, that was the paper, wasn't it? What was it called? On Channel 4. But I'm going for the James Richardson vibe, mate.
Yeah.
Very, very loud. A lot of people eating and drinking. I've got a pint. I'm pretending I'm on holiday. There's no football. Thank God the season's over. Nothing to worry about. Just been for a run, mate, and I missed you by about an hour, I think, in Battersea.
Yeah.
But I'm very well, mate. You?
Yeah, mate, I'm good. And then it brings back memories as well of being in Rome, and we were in a cafe there, didn't we? And you got the Gazzetta out back then as well. It's maybe just a little bit different now. But Jack, you're here as well, of course. And I've just seen your dog, Wilf.
Yeah.
That was Wilf, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was Wilf. We haven't got another dog. He's not named after a footballer. He's
not
named
anymore.
After Boris Johnson's son.
Mate, how are you doing?
I'm all,
cheery? Good?
Yeah, I'm all right, actually. I said this before we went on air, but my wife said to me yesterday, she's like, you've been in a really good mood for the last 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, there's been no football on. So, I'm good, doing, lots of summer weekend stuff. It's nice not having to watch us be shit every weekend, isn't it?
I won't lie. I've also not particularly missed it, although I'm conscious of saying that too much because a little while ago, I think it was only a few episodes ago, somebody commented on one of our posts saying that I make it sound like the podcast is a chore. I was like, well, no, it's not. I really, really like doing the podcast. I genuinely do, but I have quite a dislike for Leicester, and that's not my fault.
Watching Leicester play?
Not at all. I really don't. Rick, good evening. How are you, mate? You good?
No, mate. Horrible.
Why now?
Fucking weather. What is going on? It's June, and it's this hot already. I mean, the best thing about this country used to be because the weather was always crap, but if we got good weather, I've had enough of it. I'm on about my 8th different outfit today. Hence why I'm in an England shirt, because I've literally been through everything else. I've had a number of baths. I thought George would like me to put this on. I was hoping he might have the Italian 90 tracksuits on, but really hot, mate. But it's nice that the football's are supposedly not ruining our weekends, but I miss it. I do. I need that at the fulcrum of my mind to have something tangible to moan about, because I'm now onto the weather and I don't know, all sorts.
Mate, you surprised me. You surprised me. Not necessarily the weather, but the fact that you are missing the football. But on the weather, I can't imagine, mate, it'd be nice in that caravan right now, unless if you've got aircon in there.
Well, so we've not been out in it since us boys had the little giggings in there the other week, but I did have to nip down to take some stuff to my wife's mum and dad's, and I did swing by and I put some stuff in. It was very, very sweaty in there. I almost like sauna-esque. In fact, I said to them, if they do want a little Swedish sauna vibe, then get in there, because hot.
No, not surprised at all. Right, so
how are you, Jake? No one's asked you how you are.
I'm good, mate. I'm enjoying the sun. Unlike Rick, you'll never hear me complain that it's too warm. I absolutely love it.
Look at you. That's why. Look at you.
What does that mean?
Pristine, whereas I'm a fat Neanderthal. So.
Oh, mate, no.
And you've got an ice bath now, Jake.
I do. I've been in it twice.
Good man.
And yeah, do you know what? I did it the first time, and I'll be honest, it wasn't very cold, or it wasn't cold enough because, as you know, I've been putting off getting an ice bath for a while, even though I needed one. But I've been putting it off for ages, quite frankly, because I don't like the cold. Like I despise it. So anyway, I did it once. It was cold, but not freezing. Fine. But then last week, my legs were genuinely really, really aching from the gym. So I was thinking, right, why don't I actually use the ice bath for what it's for, as like a recovery thing? Did it, and honestly, my legs felt loads better. So boys, if we still have some kind of sponsorship from any ice bath company, then yeah, they work. They're good.
We could get us three in the ice bath live, and then Rick can have his bath with Bombay mix next to us.
Yes, he could. And I suppose we'll have our first modicum. I'm not sure if Rick's used modicum already, but there was no Dean Smith haircuts for us, was there? We said if Dino kept us up, we'd get the haircuts. And
I reckon I've inadvertently had a Dean Smith haircut though.
How much was it?
So I don't know, it wasn't £4, but since moving, I've really struggled. And the other day, I was like, I reckon my fringe has gone very Dean Smith. So I've not been egged yet, but I've had the worst of. We got relegated, and I got a Dean Smith haircut. So,
but look, on tonight's episode, what we're going to do is we are going to do some alternative end of season awards, but not overly. We will go through kind of some of the alternatively funny, we can laugh at it now kind of moments, and we'll go through that. We will do a bit of who are you, and then we'll talk about kind of where we're at so far. I mean, in all honesty, no real surprise, the club hasn't done a huge amount so far, despite the
less than 8 weeks to go.
Yeah, exactly. Still no manager. I think they're probably going to interview Dean Smith another 3 times. Yeah, and yeah, we'll talk about where we're at the moment in terms of them players as well. But before then, we've got something exciting we want to let you guys all know about. Yeah, no, we are genuinely really excited by this. So on July the 29th, so what's that, a week before the season gets underway, we're going to have a live event. The Big Strong Leicester Boys live podcast. We're going to be doing it at the Memphis Hub in Wigston, Leicester, 29th July. Tickets, I believe, Jack, will they be live and available to buy by the time this goes live?
You can buy
tomorrow?
them now.
Yeah,
you can buy them now, but we haven't publicised it yet.
No. So look, we are going to be doing it. It's all for charity. So we absolutely want you guys to come along. It'll be a week before the start of the season, as Jack says. The plan is that not only we have us 4, I mean, how could you and what could you possibly need more of? But look, we're going to have a Leicester legend with us. We're not quite sure who that is yet. We have spoken to a few, and it will be a good one. We absolutely promise you that. And also, I've spoken to him today, and he's bang up for it. Jersey Bud is going to join us as well. He's going to play some music and join on the panel as well. So yeah, we'll tweet all the links for this as well on the relevant social channels. But yeah, the Big Strong Leicester Boys is going to do a live podcast on July the 29th. It would be lovely to see you all there, because otherwise we'd look really stupid if none of you turn up. But Rick, how do you feel about that, mate? That should be good, right?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, pal. A bit nervous because obviously people will actually be coming to watch us as opposed to just accidentally finding us on Spotify or YouTube. So a bit more pressure on us to actually bring some decent content. But I mean, we'll have a whole summer of ammunition of moaning, won't we, about all the things that Rubkin and the like will have not done. So yeah, it should be good. What time is it? Are we doing early evening, are we, I assume? Or what do we, has that been decided yet?
Yeah, it has been decided. I think doors open at 7 and we're on at 8. So
drinks at 6.
Yeah, there will be drinks there. The bar is open. So
good. I'm going to get blasted.
and when Rick says that, he absolutely means it. So yeah, tickets now live. We've tweeted out the links. So yeah, please do buy them. As I
Can't
said,
go back now we've announced it as well,
no,
can we?
exactly. So we are
I'm
going for
scared.
this.
Yeah,
No, don't be.
I think
Don't
it's just
be.
dawned on me. Like,
No, well, look, fortunately, we're going to have Jersey there and we're going to have a Leicester legend. So whilst we will be there, Rick, you can just get bollocksed at the end on stage, and the other guys will there to kind of take the pressure off the rest of us. But look, as I said, all the money goes to charity, so please do support him. Please do come along, and hopefully it goes well, and we can do more of them throughout the course of the season.
and I'll just say big thank you to Liam at Memphis, who's helped us organise that. He does listen and did suggest us as guests at the venue, which is amazing considering the lineup of guests they have there. I think they've got Dean Richards in a few weeks, and then they've got us four praps turning up. So thank you for doing that, Liam. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Right then, lads, should we move on to these end of season alternative awards? I think that I was kind of toying with this one because we said we were going to do this as the season were ending, because there was genuinely no real end of season awards that we wanted to do, or any that we could have possibly really handed out in any kind of seriousness. So we said we'd do these alternative ones. Then the season finished and we kind of didn't get quite round to doing it. Now it's been a couple of weeks. So I was thinking, have we now missed the boat? But actually, I think it's probably better to do now, because we can laugh about it now, whereas maybe a couple of weeks ago it was still a little bit too raw. So I did stick this out on social media a few weeks ago, and for people to suggest some potential awards for us to discuss. Lads, of what you saw on there, are there any that you'd like to put forward? And then we kind of just going to discuss some of the nominations, then decide between us which ones we're going to go with. So yeah, any suggestions for any of you?
This isn't really a suggestion, but one thing I've noticed in the last few weeks that I keep doing, I just keep saying we'll be fine to everything. I just go, we'll be fine.
Starting to sound like me, Jack.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
I was at the pub earlier, actually, and there was a guy who's a Liverpool fan, and he had no idea he was doing it. But I counted about 5 or 6 times over the course of a couple of hours where he kept saying, "That's the beauty of it." and I just wonder, seeing
he's
as he's a Liverpool fan. Yeah, I just wonder if Brendan left his mark. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. In the years to come, all of us be saying that's the beauty of it, and it's in our own hands. That's the mark that Brendan left on all of us.
Quality.
I have actually got one.
Yes, go on.
Vintage Leicester City Player Tweet of the Year award, and the players have been adding to that in the last few weeks, in to varying degrees of sincerity. So
are we? That's a good one. Is this our end of season goodbye tweets, or we're sorry
all
tweets,
of them,
or the ones
and over the course of the season, best tweet?
Okay, I mean it's going to take some doing, right, to beat James Maddison, isn't it?
Yeah. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall calling someone out for writing something mean about him was up there.
My favourite one was Johnny Evans. Leicester will be back. I won't. Good. What kind of captain is that?
So
honestly,
so we got 3 nominations here of James Maddison's now infamous post Southampton "We'll be fine." We've got Kiernan Dewsbury Hall quote tweeting a podcast or a tweet which criticised him, then asking why they've dug him out, and then Johnny Evans goodbye, saying "We'll be back." Yeah, go on, Rick.
Well, it wasn't so much a tweet, but I loved it because Castagna's done this a fair amount over his career. He's always really negative about us even when we've not actually been that bad. He'll say we've been shit. And I remember he came out and he slated us. Really went to town, and then I think like Rodgers was asked about it the next week, and you could tell he was really annoyed that Castagna had dug us out, and I really like that. And that was at a time when everyone was still very pro, we were all going to be okay. But no, Castagna called it early. He called it about 2 weeks into his career when he was like, "Nah, crap."
Yeah. I have a slightly left field nomination as well. I don't think we've actually discussed this all that much, if at all, even in the WhatsApp group. Did you see Daniel Amarty's? No.
Just the him leaving the club and just doing one of him sat there. I've never actually heard Daniel Amarty speak.
No, and this is why I'm pushing this one forward. I realise there's a squeaky noise coming from my microphone, so I need to change my batteries in a couple of moments' time. But yeah, so Daniel Amarty, when you think about it, guys, he's now arguably, after all, Brighton, the longest serving member at the club, longest serving player.
Vardy.
Vardy and Albright, and then Daniel Amati, often forgotten of being in that Premier League title-winning team. So he's been here a long, long time. And obviously all the players will eventually start doing their goodbye messages. And he waited a couple of weeks, like the rest, and then just tweeted a picture of himself in his car. That was it. And then deleted Leicester and everything out of his bio, and that was it. We've never heard Daniel Amati say anything, and that's going to be the end of him.
And then he went for a coffee with Pochettino.
As you do.
Imagine if he ends up at Chelsea.
The bloke moves in mysterious ways, doesn't he? It's like, nothing surprises me after what we've seen yesterday with Tielemans. What you think is going to happen with footballers and the way that you think they're going to perhaps sort of interact. No, Daniel Amati, it's his world and we're all just guests watching. And it'll be our pendant that he'll be lobbing over his shoulder. Won't be, sadly, in a cup final. It'll probably be in a testimony or a friendly at the minute. But, yeah.
That's what I was going to say, Rick. If he ends up at Chelsea after that pennant throw in the changing room, they will be
so good.
Fuming. Well, they're probably more fuming that they've signed Dan Amati, to be honest. I remember when he broke his leg. Obviously, it was overshadowed by more tragic events. But we stood by him when he broke his leg, when a lot of teams would have fucking got rid of him.
Yeah. Tweet him, George.
I'm not on Twitter, am I?
Send him a strongly worded letter.
Written with a quill. Is that what it was?
By owl.
The leaving videos. Perez is. I don't follow Perez anymore on any social media, but someone sent it to me, and that was completely bizarre. It was about the same goal about 9 times.
Which one? I haven't seen it.
I don't know. He didn't score that. I think it was the Southampton one or something.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Can't say I paid too much close attention to it, but it was sort of different angles of the same thing.
Mm.
It was like one of those YouTube highlight reels when when we signed Hossein Kaibi.
Yes.
And it was basically just like one video of him like chasing Ronaldo for 50 meters or something.
I do love those montage videos people stick on YouTube, and when you actually watch it closely, because they stick some cool music on it, and then you actually watch it and think, was that video actually that good? And quite often
cut it out before he gives the ball away.
Exactly. Yeah. It is like,
I love that.
That wasn't that good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had to run off there. So have we got our nominations for worst tweet of the year or worst social media post? I think
those
Tielemans signing for Villa is quite a bad one for me personally.
But that's not social. We'll get. I've got a separate one for Fiore.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm willing to admit, Jack, that I got a bit emotional watching his goodbye video, and then yesterday.
Don't let him drag you in, Jord.
No,
he doesn't care.
He won us the FA Cup, so I can't really criticise him that much.
Agreed.
When you think he's wound his contract down, and he's thinking, I'm going to go and play in the Champions League, and he ends up at Aston Villa, think, oh my God,
yeah. But George, hold these thoughts. We'll talk transfers and we'll talk Fiore a little bit later on. So social media posts. Look, lads, look, we've had some bad ones. I think all of them are equally bad. I think Johnny Evans is actually a close second. I did tweet this out, and some people actually replied saying they didn't think it was that bad, or he's a man of few words or whatever. But I just think in the context of him being our club captain and offering so little throughout the course of the season, and that's all he could muster when other people. I mean, even if the rest of the posts by the other players have been either done by agents or whatever, the fact that that's all Johnny Evans could come up with, I actually do think it's a close second. But unfortunately, James Maddison and that tweet, that's going to follow him and kind of tarnish his Leicester career, which is kind of unfortunate. But I also think that is the reality. Is anyone going to go with anything else?
He'll be fine, won't he?
Of course he will.
Yeah.
But in terms of his Leicester legacy, it's quite incredible to say, but that will actually tarnish it, despite the fact he's been a very decent player for us for a good number of years. But yeah, is Mad has taken this one, yeah?
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Right, I'm going to put one forward now. And this is the award for the worst post-match interview that we've had this season. Yeah, quite a few. I'm going to throw in some options and then add 2 because I think there's quite a lot. And you can even go with the first game of the season when we threw away that lead and Brendan Rodgers came out at the end of the game to say that the players were tired, despite the fact he'd made just one substitute. And it was the first game of the season, which kind of set the tone, I think, in many ways for then what, ensued. So I think that one's bad. I think you can go with the Brighton game when Brendan Rodgers came out afterwards and said that the fans were making the defenders and the players nervous, despite the fact we were conceding on average 4 goals a game. Apparently that was our fault. I'm also going to go with Crystal Palace when Brendan, again, came out and said that he thought it was too warm when it was about...
That's going to take some beating.
It was 15 degrees in March.
Don't get me wrong. I'm a man who doesn't like it much hotter than 10 degrees, so I agree with him. But these are elite professional footballers, not 14.5 stone urchins.
Yeah.
I bet these last few days he ain't moved.
I was going to say, I did think of Brendan and his chap lips yesterday morning when I was like, how's the man going to cope with this?
Yeah. Any more to add to those 3? Are they all of Brendan Rodgers, or have we got any others to add?
Well, we're missing the blatantly obvious one.
Come on then, George.
That's the beauty of it. It's
how many times though?
Was that after or in a pre? Was that a pre-match press conference?
I'm pretty sure his last one was it Palace? I think that was the last one.
Yeah. Was it?
I think so.
Oh, could have been.
Madison's after Fulham was pretty bad.
Yes, great suggestion.
It was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but
the players
they weren't hungry enough or something.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion, Jack. I knew I was forgetting one.
Dewsbury Hall did one after Newcastle as well, where he was just like, I don't really understand what's happened there when we were 3-0 down inside 10 minutes.
Yeah, Dewsbury Hall. I'm trying to think of any other player
that's I am.
Johnny Evans at the end of the season we've all just said goodbye to each other.
Yes, Jack, you took the words right out of my mouth. So again, Johnny Evans.
His one after the Liverpool game was pretty bad as well.
Same fighting spirit next week.
Yeah, that was it. It was like performance-wise, pardon?
Can't knock it.
Yeah, all we can do is put in that same level of effort for the next 2 games.
That bloke, I mean, he summed it up. Do you know what I mean? When you think about it, I mean, it was just... And yet we're in talks, supposedly, for a new deal for him. He's had more injuries.
He wants to play at a high level. The Northern Ireland manager, has come out and been like, I assume he'd want his career to end in a different fashion. It was like... Sorry?
Mate, we've got conference players in the North.
Striker plays in bloody...
The bloke can't run.
Yeah, they pick players from League 2. I think Johnny Evans will be okay in that Northern Ireland squad.
He's always fit. He's always fit for Northern Ireland.
I was literally about to say that as well. Miraculous, isn't it? Always picked for Northern Ireland, but never fit for us. So, I do think that you can't understate how bad that first post-match press conference was in the first game of the season when he made one sub and then said the players were tired. It was like, well, yeah, Brendan, why don't you try making some subs? And I do honestly think that set the tone because we were winning that game, weren't we? And I don't think it's quite the worst. I think personally, I'm going to go with either Rodgers post Palace or Maddison post Fulham. But that first one, I really do think it set the tone for what was then a dreadful season.
Yeah, I think it's the weather. I mean, I've just thought of another one, but it's got to be the weather.
What's the other one?
Well, what was it post-match or pre-match when he basically admitted that he only picked Danny Ward out of loyalty for 26 Premier League games, and then he admitted he weren't good enough, but he stuck with him out of loyalty for being faithful as a number 2 for so many years. And I think we've all admitted that had Everson probably played the whole season, we wouldn't have got relegated, however crap we'd been in every other facet. So that. I don't know. That might have been a pre-match one, though, before the Brentford game where he got picked.
I'm not sure.
To throw another one in.
Go on.
Basically, when early in the season, at the end of last season when he was like, we need about 7 new players. And then he said, because we need to sort of shake up, a healthy shake-up of the squad. And then he said, I was talking about the culture.
Culture reset. Brilliant.
That's a good one.
Again, he
I'd
weren't
forgotten
right.
about. I know.
Need
I'd
both.
forgotten about that.
Oi, stop it.
Yes,
need-
Jordan.
Don't
we
try it.
We need both. I'm going to go for Johnny Evans.
I knew it wouldn't be a Brendan one for
Yeah.
You've just been relegated with the 7th highest wage bill in the country, and then you're going, "Oh, we've all just been saying bye to each other in the changing room."
Well, George, you're right, actually, because he also got relegated at West Brom, and they were a disgrace that season as well, weren't they?
He stole a taxi in that season as well.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, nothing
But his
says
Uber ratings dog shit and all.
So that was La Manga as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were in La Manga.
Were they? No, they're in Barcelona.
You
Same
sure?
one.
They're in Barcelona. Same
Spain.
thing.
Yeah.
Portugal, Spain. 700 miles. Same. Yeah.
Right. Final vote. Jordan's gone. Johnny Evans. Rick, Jack. Which one?
Palace for me, the Heat.
Yeah. Jack.
Palace Heat.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. There are some corkers in there. There really are. But I think complaining about 15-degree heat in London in March, that's for me.
It was a home game. No, was it the home game that he did it? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was October.
Yeah,
it was October. It was about 15.
It was a balmy October afternoon.
Yeah, it was 15 degrees. It wasn't hot.
To be fair, what I like about that is, like, obviously some of the other ones have really angered me, but I was on the deck howling. It was brilliant.
Honestly, I could have sworn it was the away game.
I thought it was a wind-up. I thought because I was away for that game and I saw that and I was like, it's got to be taking the piss.
But I think at that point, I think we all, like, it was like Rodgers. He deliberately now just, like, he's desperate to go. He's going out with a bang. And I found that, I was like, fair play to him, but no, it wasn't, was it? He was genuine.
Right, moving on to the next award. Rick or Jordan, if you got any you'd like to put forward and for us to discuss.
I do have one.
Yes, Jordan, let's hear it, mate.
Go on, mate.
I'm going to go for the most ridiculous thing that the football club has done this season.
It's a long list as well, isn't it?
It's a close call between. There's quite a few. A close call between the must-win Everton game when a Tannoy message said, "Could you please sit down?"
Yes.
No. The incredible moment of playing Blossoms before James Maddison scored against Tottenham. But for me, it has to be the fucking coconut.
Coconuts.
What on earth? How out of touch can your owners be with a fan base? Oh, Leicester got the best owners in the country. They get a free donut and a free beer. Not anymore. We didn't get
that. Yeah, there are some good ones. I mean, I'll be honest. I think the Tannoy telling people to sit down during the Everton game is going to take some beating. I do. But I bet you there are loads of ones we can't remember because there has been so many. Is there anything that springs to your mind, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, can it be on the actual playing side of things? Because there's two decisions that are, one's going to be a bit left field that people don't really give a shit about, but I genuinely think is deciding to play. Well, no comment on that. But deciding to play Will Alves, our most highly rated academy player, in an under-18 game the day after he'd come on in the Carabao Cup for us. And at that level now, he was taking the piss, he was, but fair play to him. And then some little cretin assaulted him and did his ACL in.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, he will have wanted to play, no doubt, I'm sure. And that, it's more down the pecking order on the decision who would have made that. It wouldn't have been first team decision, but that's come back. And again, actually, going on the academy again, Sammy Braybrook, another very talented youngster, was set to go out on loan, and we decided to play him in an under-21 game the day before the January transfer window ended. And again, ACL blown. And it's like, just don't play. Just get him out on loan. Get him away from Seagrave, where it's like a mine going off. That were a couple. I can't. I'll let
one foot
Jack
in the Seagrave.
Yeah, I think we. One foot in the Seagrave. I think we avoid football-related decisions and stick to
Okay.
But because again, I think those kind of transfer Dillian's Rick. There's a category on its own there, which I think we can
Right.
get to. But yeah, things like telling people to sit down, things like the ticket situations, things like the coconuts. Jack, have you got any to add?
Gold badge on a blue and white kit.
Jordan doesn't like the badge, does he?
Oh, why, I don't get why it's gold. It was like a nice kit, and then they made the badge gold. But yeah, non-footballing related decisions.
Yeah. So like, it's not happened on the pitch that we can't directly blame John Rudkin for.
I keep going back to not signing any players, playing Danny Ward. I can't. It'll come to me. I'm sure there's more I can think of. The coconut's the one that really sticks out for me.
Okay, so coconut for you. I for me, it's the telling people to sit down. It's almost kind of what we alluded to the last game of the season. Now I know it is slightly different, but when we're talking about if we had stayed up, had we gone on the pitch, and we wouldn't have done. Whereas at pretty much every other club, they will. And I just think that us as a football club, we're so polite, we're so nice, yet I feel that the club view us completely differently. And yet in what was an absolutely must-win game, where the atmosphere was generally for the first time in a long time, well, there's very few occasions where it was brilliant, and it was really good, that Everton game. For someone somewhere to because the thing is, when you think about whoever's had to do that tannoy, like bear in mind, like I do stadium announcing stuff, right? And I actually envisaged this and pictured this the other week. If I was doing that job and somebody had come up to me and said, look, can you just make a quick announcement to tell everybody to sit down or to be quiet? I would have looked at them and thinking, are you serious? And I don't think I would have been able to bring myself to do it. Or I certainly would have kicked off and say, look, are you sure? You honestly think that's what I should be saying over this tannoy? I'd love to know whose decision that was and who sent that message up to the guy who then had to make that announcement, because I'm sure it wasn't him. But I just find that absolutely bizarre. I honestly don't think that would happen at any other club. I really, really don't.
Speaking of announcements, when they played losing my favourite game at half time when we were 2-0 down to Liverpool.
It's a great one. It's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And straight after the Everton game, weren't they trying to push the new £63 Leicester shirt just as we've been relegated? That was up there. Am I getting this season mixed up with another? There was some daft initiative on ticketing that they did, and there was just chaos. It might have been the first part of like the mobile ticket.
Yeah, but it's been chaos to get in at every game this season.
Yeah, there was one thing that was just horrendous. That might have been last season before.
I mean, ticketing's been pretty much a disaster, hasn't it, all season, particularly then with the initiative stuff for the away tickets. But I think, whilst I really love the losing my favourite game, again, whoever, because they wouldn't have done it on purpose, but the moment that person realised that they were playing that song at that time, it's too late then, and you would have felt awful, but you can laugh about it now. But for me, telling people to sit down during the Everton game is for me a clear winner here.
Jake, in that same game, Liverpool fans were singing about Firmino, and they put Firmino on the King Power scoreboard.
Yes.
And they just carried on singing it for about 20 minutes. And my two mates...
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, my two mates were in the Liverpool end.
Well, Firmino sat on the bench. The Liverpool fans then serenading him. So what we did is we put Firmino on the big screen. Yeah. We should be booing. We should be booing, really, and drowning them out. We put it on the bloody screen to encourage them to sing louder.
Yeah, my two mates in the Liverpool end, they couldn't believe it. They were like, what on earth are you doing?
That is a good one as well. Oh, wow. But still, I'm going with tannoy. Sit down. Jack, what's your vote, mate?
Coconuts for me.
Coconuts. George?
100% coconuts. What?
Just have no cultural relevance to Leicester. Like, what?
The worst thing is, there will be Leicester fans, and some may be listening to this. And if you have kept one of those coconuts in your house and you've still got it and it's gone mouldy, throw it away. People will have taken that home, 100%, and kept it.
That's exactly the kind of thing my mum would do, to be fair. She'd stick the coconut in the handbag.
Throw it away, Jill. You don't need it.
She's probably, honestly, she'd hoard a couple. I'm sure she would. Rick, what's your vote, mate?
I think I'm going to have to go with coconuts because they are the shit, aren't they? Shit. Just what's the point?
They're
I
horrible.
agree. Mm.
I'd rather
What
have
is the point?
I'd rather have a watered down piss shang out of a coconut.
Okay, then, right. Coconut is the winner of what was even the category for that one? Worst decision made by the club, or weirdest, strangest. So I think then we then got to do strangest football decision made by the club this season. And again, there has to be loads here. So I'm talking kind of more like transfers and players related. And again, you can go from the summer, letting the club captain Kasper Schmeichel leave a week before the start of the season and not replacing him. Selling Wesley Fofana a week before, or a couple of days before the close of the transfer window. But I believe they got about £5 million up front from Chelsea for it, and then didn't reinvest hardly any of that money. This is my personal favourite, and I am able to laugh about it now, was that when we headed into the January transfer window, Leicester had a real lack of wingers. I think we did not have a lot of wingers. And that was kind of the goal, to go through January and have more options in the wide positions. When the January transfer window closed, Leicester had fewer wingers at the club than what they started the January transfer window with. And that's still, I find absolutely, I'm not going to go as far as say hilarious, but baffling, and one of the most bonkers decisions the club made all season. And then when inevitably Harvey Barnes got injured and Tete was crap, we then went back to having no wingers. So that I find that one absolutely bonkers. Yeah, and ending the month of January with fewer wingers than what we started with when we didn't have enough wingers to start with. Any other suggestions? I think there are quite a few here as far as transfers and player business goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've said it already before, but despite all of our struggles in the summer, and that financially we're supposedly needing to cut our cloth accordingly, to have offered Jack Harrison £100,000 a week.
Get over it.
No, because it just shows.
Honestly, I would have preferred him to Tete, and I probably would have preferred him to Harvey Barnes in the end. So
no. It's not Harvey Barnes, but no, I get.
Oh,
but if he came in on 100 grand a week, though, Jack, nothing's changed from the situation that we've gotten ourselves in. 100 grand a week for Jack Harrison.
Yeah,
I'd rather give you 100 grand a week.
Well, yeah, but that'd be a good investment.
You're a better Jack.
Well, thanks very much.
You've got a cultured left foot, haven't you?
Yeah,
sure.
I do have a left foot.
And the other one.
Yep.
What? Hang on. No, it's gone. Come back to me. Let me think. There's another one.
Jack Jordan. Any others you want to throw in here?
Signing some shit Brazilian winger called Tete. That's got to be up there, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, he was really, really good in the first game.
Bad.
It's honestly, it will be one of the biggest mysteries to me what happened, because
he's up there with Lacto Zolt.
But
Zolt Lacto.
But I think
Zolt Lacto. You gotta be.
I think this is peak. I think this is the absolute pinnacle. Because I remember when we signed him, right? Do you remember what I said? I said he's got the easiest job in the world. All he's got to do is not be shit. Because we've had no good right winger for years. I said,
so you gave him the kiss of death, not me.
Don't you dare put this on me.
You're not worming your way out of this one.
All you had to do was not be crap.
It, mate.
But I don't know how you go from being that good on your debut, right? And this is away at Aston Villa, a decent side. So it's not like at home against, a shit team. And he was brilliant. How? What on earth happened in that period to then just being completely looking like he had won a competition? Do you know what I mean? But again, Zolt Lacko, right? Actually went on to have a decent career. Ended up playing like in Fiorentina.
Didn't he get Lazio or something?
No, it's Fiorentina.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing Serie A. So he went on to play for bigger and better clubs at that time than when he was at Leicester. But Tete, I don't know. I literally don't know what happened.
I am fascinated to see what happens to him because obviously I did, I still rate him because prior him getting to us,
he must be good.
Like, he did.
He must be.
He ticked everybody. And
He
the
wasn't
other
that good. He
reason
wasn't
why
that good in France, though, was he? He was all right.
he was
will
solid.
be.
He was second or third, like highest in goals, assists, shot creation. He was up there, and League One to Premier League usually tracks quite well. So there was enough there to think, yes, Brazilian. Also, I can't remember what I'd read, but like Martin Glover had tried to get him at Southampton and had conversations with his agent, stroke dad, might be the same person, can't remember. But he was almost like sign at all costs from the scouting department message. So you're like, yes, here we go. So I got swept up in the bandwagon. So did Alex Barker, the supposed European expert. If we want to have a pop, let's start with it.
Rick, there's definitely a player in there, but he probably came over. He probably came over, seen us in training, and thought, "Fucking hell, what have I signed up for here?"
But again, though, George, when he first signed, I've never seen a player more excited and more happy to be at this football club. And then obviously started perfectly. What happened?
Well, I think Jack nearly hit the nail on the head, because when he said Zolt Lachko, what I thought he said was he must be lactose intolerant, and I think that's what it is. That's got to be it. He's lactose intolerant.
Maybe it was the water in Leicester. I don't know what it is.
Feeding him
something.
Do you not think though, like turning up at Seagrave is like it's like turning up at the nicest hotel. Everything looks great, and then you stay there for one night and you realise that it's fucking soulless. Like there's probably no service there. You probably have to walk miles to get fed. This is really shit analogy.
I like it.
But it's like, I think that's what happens. You turn up and you go, "Oh, this is amazing," and then a day later you're like,
I was going to
do much to it.
Some ex-girlfriend analogy there instead. It looks beautiful, but not much to it. But back to
what they call a butterface. Everything's nice, butterface.
Yeah. So,
Rick, come on.
We are.
Edit that one out. It's crap.
No, absolutely not.
I'm embarrassed.
No, I'm sorry. Only if you are going to get us sued will I edit anything out.
Right.
So look, strangest, worst footballing decisions. The Tete one isn't one. It's just a mystery. He could be the biggest mystery, and there's no other contenders.
I'll tell you another one.
He wins it. Go on.
Well, because we're so nice as a football club, two things come to mind. One, we might not have been able to do a lot about. One, it took us about 3.5 years to get a work permit for Lars Knudsen, our set-piece coach. Any other club would have kicked off about that. And the other, playing Monday night for 3 weeks on the spin, when I think, from what I read, there's a certain amount of times you can be picked to play Monday or like Sunday early, and we'd already gone over our quota, and then we've basically allowed that without kicking off. Dean Smith mentioned it, saying it's not fair, but if that was Jurgen Klopp, he would have had minus strikes and all sorts going on, and yet we just allow it to happen. The whole club was just too nice or too pathetic. There are a couple of things that wound me up.
It's a good conspiracy, that, Rick. I like that one.
Thank you.
I've got one that it's a bit Ric Flair. This.
Go on.
Aside from playing Danny Ward and Booba Samari at any point in the season, signing a centre half from Stoke who looked half decent and apparently has won the most headers in all of Europe's top 5 leagues. And he might have been at fault for a couple of goals. I think there was one at Old Trafford where he was a bit deep, and then just sacking him off and not playing him at all, and then bringing in a lad that's reportedly tried to fill in the manager and has effectively put himself on strike for a season, getting paid, and lo and behold, he's still shit. And Suter comes back in at Newcastle, plays really well, get a clean sheet. Why sign him if you're not going to play him?
Well, he wasn't Dean Smith, was he? That's the problem. Obviously,
he weren't having him.
No, obviously Dean didn't fancy him, did he? Right then, I think we decide this one, then we do one more category. Rick, I think you've got one. So strangest footballing decision then. I mean, I am going to go back quickly to the whole Wesley Fofana one, just because we actually have seen, and again, Rick, it then all ties into us being too bloody nice. You know, Brighton, Arsenal, Chelsea wanted to sign Caicedo. Brighton turned around and said, no, you know, he can leave, but he'll leave when we're ready. You know, but what did Leicester do? We faffed around all summer, let Fofana stink the place out, didn't line up any players to then come in when he was going to be inevitably sold, didn't get as much money as what he wanted for him. And I believe we got about £5 million up front, but still it was 70 million quid. And then they didn't have any players lined up. We had just ended up then with Wout Fez, as opposed to reinvesting what you would have liked to have seen at least half of that, but it never happened. I think that again was a big nail in our season, and so symptomatic of what we are as a football club, have just been really poorly run. That deal I just thought was crap for all parties.
And they let Levi Colwill go on we're not let because it's not our decision, but you know, we should have been negotiating. If you want Fofana, we're having Colwill on loan minimum, if not getting him as part of the deal. Brighton didn't get him as part of the Cucurella deal, but got it separately, and I'm sure they probably had that conversation. I agree. That was, in fact, the old transfer last summer. You know, saying they needed to sell fringe players to raise funds, and then rejecting bids for Pratt, for Samari in the end, or fannying about, and Monaco decided to go elsewhere and get someone else. The whole thing was just like so. Just mind-bending. I don't know. So if that's the one, the Fofana, I agree, and Schmeichel and all that nonsense.
Yeah, George.
Yeah, I just thought of it. We sacked Brendan Rodgers, or Rodgers left by mutual consent,
and had nobody lined up
2 months ago. We still haven't got a manager. And let's be honest, the writing was on the wall after the Forest game last season, or in the summer. Sack him then. Or give him some money to spend.
I mean, to be fair,
just not replace him with anyone.
It was also the timing of it that you sacked him, and everyone looked at it thinking, "Oh, makes sense. We've got 2 home games here. We bring in a new manager and get a bit of a bounce." And no, they didn't have anyone lined up at all, and we lost both of those games, and then went down by a point.
And add to that 2 weeks before was international break, so we let that fester. Then lost the Palace. Then wasted another 2 weeks.
Yeah, right, George, I've changed my mind. I'm with you actually on that one. When you'd had your manager on the brink of being sacked all season, and then when you finally sacked him, you had no idea who you were going to appoint. And then about a month later, we ended up with Dean Smith, and things didn't improve whatsoever. Let's round this one up. Jack, Jordan, Rick, those are your nominations. Schmeichel, Fofana, the January transfer window of the wingers, and then Brendan's sacking. I am going to go with Brendan sacking and then not having anyone lined up. And then to hear that they didn't have anyone lined up, and because they hadn't actually thought about sacking at any point, I think is genuinely hilarious. So that's my vote. Jack?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Brendan.
George?
Could be a clean sweep. I'm going to go for that as well.
Rick?
Yeah, I'll go with that. Just one thing on that, not wanting to prolong it too much. But do you think, I'm now more convinced, we didn't sack him. He has to go. Hence why we had absolutely no plan. I think they were head buried in the sand. They were hoping that Rodgers would sort it out. I think he didn't want relegation and on his CV. He said, I'm going, and they've said, all right. And then again, they had no plan.
I genuinely believe that was the first conversation.
It was mutual consent, wasn't it? So
that was the first conversation they had at any point about his future. And if they'd had that conversation in the summer, Brendan would have said the exact same thing then, but they never had that conversation with him. I'm absolutely certain of it. And it's the first time they sat down. They're like, oh, okay, you can leave then. And they wasted 10 months.
I wish you'd said sooner. Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Said.
Rick, have you got a category for us?
Yeah, let's. This
is the last one.
Worst Brazilian left-footed right wing.
All right.
But best debut of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that might have been Marcus Bent best debut. Yeah. Anyway, online. My favourite Leicester player bollocking Danny Ward on the pitch moment of the season, because there was a portfolio, weren't there?
Danny Ward bollocking someone, or someone bollocking Danny Ward?
More like Danny Ward doing something, and then the player, and then they're having an argument, and the player's just genuinely like, "What the fuck are you going on about?"
Indeed, at Brighton.
That was up there. Fofana had a row with him, I think, at Arsenal. Evans had one with him. Obviously, there was the Castagna. I think Castagna had a couple, but the Castagna one that nearly let that. I mean, it's got to be that one where it was nearly the best own goal of all time.
Yeah.
Where it's like they were jockeying for see it was like, do you know when you're walking down down a corridor and there's someone opposite you and you're like, you go what, and your brain can't, it's like magnets and you can't, and it was like that with them two, and nearly led to running it in the net. There's probably other ones that you have falling out with, because I mean it was calamitous, wasn't it? But what you got to. It's the only comfort you can take out of him playing for 3/4 of the season was having to see the others going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I had to play with him."
Yeah, I think the Ndidi and the Castagna one, Jack, is gonna take some beating.
Castagna, I reckon.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Because just the Castagna has a real way about him of looking absolutely stunned at things happening on the football pitch. But we've not mentioned it, but the fact that he just pushed Calvert-Lewin over in a really important game, just quite comically, and then looking really stunned about it as if someone else did it. But his face at that point was pretty good.
Yeah. Jordan?
Sorry, mate, I couldn't get off mute.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go Castagna, and nearly the best own goal I've ever seen.
And we haven't even done the category for best own goal, but I think we can all just agree that Wout has won that one.
Only 3 own goals were there. How many own goals were there?
No, Wout fast 2. Sousa, Everson at Palace, arguably as a.
Oh, that was a bit unlucky.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is an own goal though. It is.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had something like that go for us? I can't remember.
Never.
When you're down there, you really get no luck, do you?
2016, probably.
Yeah, probably was.
Well, actually, no, probably the FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Which is the greatest bit of all time. It will forever make me smile. Right. Do we have any more categories? I think I'm quite happy to end it there, because I think we've got to do a who are you and then have a quick chat about where we're at in terms of managers and players go. I know Jack needs to go shortly. So shall we do who are you?
Go for it. I'm up, aren't I?
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Space and music.
Who is your daddy and what does he do?
Who are you?
You.
No, not me, you.
Yes, I am you.
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Interestingly, actually, as I've mentioned before, that this game I used to do many years ago on another radio show where I used to do it with non-league footballers. But it's soon actually to come to TalkSport. So as of next week, there's going to be a new show which I'm doing. Still the same time, but we're going to be doing a new game. We used to kind of play birthday game, which was obviously guessing how old people were, celebrities and sports people were. But we're going to change it up, and it's going to be Who Are You? Believe it or not, suggested by myself. And
Can I come on?
Yes, you can. So all you got to do is wake up at 5:45 a.m., call TalkSport. Yeah, exactly. Thought as much. And I'll get you live on, mate, and you can play.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
You just have to ring up each day under a different name because you win every single time. But Rick, I think it's only fair, isn't it, for the last one of the season, or the last one? I don't know, ever. I mean, I've just thought, maybe we change it up for next season and have a different game. Who knows? But Rick,
Catch It.
You are, we're going to do Catch It. You are literally ridiculously good at this game. And I don't think enough was made of it last week in the caravan, how you knew the fact that Peter Gilbert, his real name wasn't Peter Gilbert. I don't know anybody else who knows that. It's bonkers how good you are at this.
Well, I don't know, mate. I'm very modest, but it's the only thing I'm good at, I think.
It's a gift. It really is. So look, So this is the final one anyway of the season. You're in charge because we're all fed up of you winning every week. Have you got a good one?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's one of those where it could be really difficult or could just be got quite quickly. So you never know, do you?
Right.
Like that's how we like to play it. So his name it no, not really. Right, he was born on the 15th of January 1992. So
Okay.
he's 31.
Yep.
Okay. He's still playing now, which won't be a surprise, in Scotland.
Right.
Jack Hobbs.
No.
No.
Lee
I'd
Cox.
by the way,
Lee Cox.
Who?
Lee Cox.
No.
I would love it for George to finally win one.
I'm surprised George knows who Lee Cox is.
Yeah, I know.
Must
He's-
have gone to school with him.
Well, I used to play against him a few times
Yeah.
There we
Oh,
go.
okay. I thought there'd be a story. There'd be a story.
when I was about 6.
Next clue.
Yep, please.
Harrison Panayatu.
No.
Oh no,
No.
but good. He didn't ever make a competitive appearance for Leicester.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Okay,
Did he
but
play in a cup game?
no, he was on the bench. He was on the bench against Swansea in the FA Cup. January 2010 was his first sort of seance into his career at Leicester. He came through our academy. He was born in Sutton in Ashfield, if that helps.
Made the bench once. I don't think, by the way,
It's
Rick,
not
we've
Eric
had-
Aldiambo, is it? Because we've had him.
No,
Yeah.
he came on. No, it's not that he only made the bench once. That was the first time he got. I have got a clue that's Leicester related next that might help you.
It's not
So I
Luke
don't-
O'Neill, is it?
No,
No,
he played.
no.
He played once. He played once. I don't think that we've had a single one this season, Rick, where they've made 0 appearances. I
I
think
know
this
it's
is
a
the
bit.
first.
It's a bit. No, but I'm hoping that this next clue that I give you, or the one after,
Yeah.
that you might then get it because you'll remember the game.
Is he a
Okay.
goalkeeper?
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
He's not a goalkeeper. So the next clue I'll give you, he went on loan 5 times before leaving us permanently in 2012.
Tom Hopper.
No. No,
about
the
that
next
age.
clue was he didn't get his ring piece licked in Thailand.
Right, next one.
Are you ready for the clue? Right. So this is the clue that I think might help you. So, although he never made a competitive appearance for us, he did score the only goal in a pre-season friendly at home against Sunderland, Martin O'Neill's Sunderland. We won 1-0 in the summer of 2012 under Pearson. Centre half.
This is a good one.
George Taft.
No, that's a good shout though.
It's a good one. Because it's about that age as well.
Similar career.
Oh, I know what he looks like. I know him.
Is it Nathaniel Rowe Turner?
No, another
Oh.
good one. Do you need
He was,
another clue?
he was an absolute unit.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh, I know what he looks like. I just can't remember his name. He's got a very square head.
Yes, I'm looking at him now, mate. He's like Maguire, but
I can't remember his name.
yes.
I'm not going to get it.
I know it. I know it. Tom Parks.
yes,
Yes.
he's
Oh,
done
it's
it.
so annoying.
Jack, you
Oh,
helped
well
me there. You
done.
said he looked like Maguire. I wouldn't have got it without that.
I would have been nowhere near
Sorry.
that.
I
mean,
was never going to get
You
it
were
anyway.
very
but-
quiet again, George, after Lee
Yeah.
Cox, I must admit.
Well, all I'm saying is, if he's never
Shot
actually
your bolts
played,
and done.
if he's never played a competitive game, I've got no chance of I.
Well, Lee Cox wouldn't have done, would he?
No, but I was clutching
No.
at straws.
Oh, mate, I feel like you need half a point for the Lee Cox. It was. I
It was
like
nowhere
it.
near.
Decadent.
Although Lee Cox did end up playing in Scotland, I think.
Did it?
I think he did as
Well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a look.
right,
Yeah.
let's level the playing field next year and get a game that George can participate in.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lee Cox,
Did you play at Inverness?
67 games for Inverness. Yeah.
There we are.
Wow.
He's currently at Colville. We were doing well, aren't they? So
Lovely stuff. All right, then. Well, that was the last one of the season. Again, don't know what we're going to do about more podcasts throughout the course of the off season as such. But I suppose that once we've actually got maybe a manager, some players, we'll do one. But yeah, so let's have a chat then, shall we, about where we're at in terms of searching for a manager and getting rid of players and signing on some players. So as we understand, I don't think we really quite know. As always, there's loads of rumours, but no manager at the moment. We think Dean Smith.
Lots of in the nose on Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
Jay.
There are, and I'm having quite a lot of fun.
Lots
actually.
of people who know the exact inner workings of our club, don't they?
There is.
Rick's been replaced by a dog.
Yeah.
Ask what her opinion is.
But look, Dean Smith, I don't know why they're messing around. Because I don't get this, because he's been there for a couple of months. You either know if you think he should be the manager or not. But anyway, Dean Smith apparently has been interviewed. I'm seeing names linked to Enzo Maresca, who is at Man City, who's Pep's one of his assistants, one of his coaches, although he's also been linked with Celtic, and I'm now hearing apparently he's going to go there. And then I've also heard Steven Gerrard and Scott Parker as well. But by all accounts, I think both of those guys are also rumoured to be linked with Leeds as well. So let's start with the manager before the players. Yeah, for me, I don't really quite understand why there's still some kind of uncertainty around Dean Smith. I don't understand why you'd need to interview him again. You know the guy, he's been there for a couple of months. You either want him to be the manager or you don't. You know, he's effectively had like an audition. You know, so I don't know what they're going to find out in a job interview, which they haven't worked out or found out already. So he either should be the manager or he shouldn't be in the running for the job. That's how I see it. And looking at the list of potential candidates of Gerrard and Parker, I don't fancy either. I really don't, but I've got a sneaking suspicion I'm not going to be happy whoever the manager is. And then Enzo Maresca, I suppose, is slightly more exciting because he's Pep's assistant. Whether he's any good, I have absolutely no idea. I just kind of don't really like the idea of Parker and Gerrard because I know what I know of them. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Jack, Dean Smith, can you understand why he's been interviewed again? Has he not just effectively done a 2-month interview?
Yeah. No, I can't understand. What are you asking him? Like,
yeah. What are you going to find out?
What are you going to find out?
You know him. He's been
Are
there for a couple
you
of
the
months.
only man that still uses 59p gel from the corner shop?
It's a great question.
Yeah. I mean, what you could just ask him. Oh, I just don't think he's a good fit either, because the players that are going to be left with, he didn't pick anyway, so they've already got the hump with him. Christiansen and Suter are about the only players that won't leave because they've only just signed, and he didn't play them. So
and Gisbiel,
arguably. So he's already pissed them off, and he wasn't very good anyway. So no, I don't get it. I don't get any of it. I've really run out of patience with this. I mean, it's like it's come as a great big surprise to them. Oh fuck, we got relegated. How did that happen?
Yeah, I know, and I actually tweeted this the other day that we've been talking so much, haven't we, about the fact that we want to get to the end of the season. It's an opportunity to reset, purge, but I don't think we are going to reset.
I think they've spent 2 weeks going, oh, how the hell did that happen, guys? We're going to have to sell some players. That's probably like Monday. They'll probably go, oh shit, we haven't got a manager.
I think we are going to press replay, and I think next season is going to be just as bad as the one we've just seen. I do genuinely believe that. And I know that that may sound dead miserable for people listening, but I'm afraid that is how I see it. I just do not trust the people whatsoever who are running this football club to get this many decisions right. And the fact that they still haven't done anything, the fact that John Rudkin will still be there next season. People are sat there waiting for news in terms of hoping that he might lose his job. He's not going to lose his job. This man is going to oversee hiring our new manager, and he's going to oversee buying. I mean, God knows how many players, but we need lots. And in terms of then negotiating these deals and sales that we've got as well with Maddison and Barnes, I just think this is going to rumble on and on and on. And then come the end of the summer transfer window, I don't think we're going to be ready. I really don't. And I don't trust the quality of the manager you're bringing or the players. And I'm sorry that's miserable, but that's how I feel.
I have a prediction about the start of next season. Sorry, I'll stop talking a minute and let these boys. I reckon we'll start the season with about 14 senior players.
Maybe.
And one of them will be Dennis Pratt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's a transfer deadline day loan move again, and then on a free at the end of it, isn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, Rick, where are you at with the manager situation? I presume you don't want Dean Smith to come back. I mean, the thing is with me, right? I'm so unenthused by Parker and Gerrard. I would actually prefer Dean Smith to those two, and I know people may well agree with that. I know I don't really want any of them, but I think I would rather Dean Smith than those two.
I mean, I don't think there's a great deal between Dean Smith and Scott Parker well, no, Smith's got more credentials in the Premier League because he kept Villa up, and then he got Villa that season before Grealish left. They were very good for a long while and then fell away. His Norwich career, not great, but then again, he left when they were in the playoffs and they bombed after that anyway. He's come in here and he came in too late. I don't think what he's done here. He made some strange decisions, but the decisions he made that were the strangest seemed to them be okay, like the Wolves game and the Newcastle game. It's the some other decisions he made that I'm not happy with. The team selection of players was odd. Like as we've covered, Sutar not playing really, really weird. Almost forgive him once he played him against Newcastle and he had man of the match performance. If he then started last game of the season against West Ham, but to then sack him again, to drop him again, just I've got sacking on the brain. But that for me, I wouldn't bother with him. Scott Parker, I'm not overly enthralled by, but then he's two promotions. You can't sniff at that. So, we're probably not, yes, we're going to be a big draw in the Championship, but we also need to realise where we're at. So maybe I wouldn't pick him, but if that's where they go, so be it. Gerrard, he's a pipe dream whether he's going to be any good or not right now because, Villa was so bad and then Emery's come in and done so well. It's pretty damning then what Gerrard, the job he did there. There's part of me that does think Gerrard will eventually be quite a good manager. So then why not? We are probably the perfect club for him to come in when his reputation's down but I don't know. As you say, the likes of Maresca or Kieran McKenna, they feel more exciting because they haven't yet failed.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's probably... But, that is... At the level we're now at, it's the Vincent company that you give a chance to, that then they have that mind-blowing season and then you're like, brilliant. Because it's hard to think, let's pick a manager that probably isn't good enough when we get back up. It's the same as signing players. I don't want to sign Tom Kearney because as soon as we get back up, I want him gone. But that's sometimes what you need to do. So I'm really torn on where we go. But now, all the managers we're linked with, I think tonight we've been linked with that Carl Hufkins, or however you pronounce it. He was at Club Brugge, who Scott Parker incidentally followed and lasted even less time than him. So maybe the remit right now is, what pool of managers can we choose? Whoever managed Club Brugge. And funnily enough, apparently he was interviewed for Leuven a couple of years ago. And I suspect John Rudkin interviewed him because he is also one of his many jobs is director of football at Leuven, director of horse racing, academy director of football at Leicester. So going back to what you were just saying about how we sort out this summer, Rudkin's he's going to be expected to turn over 20, 30 players, new manager, look after the horse racing empire, sign all those players for Leuven, sell players. It's time. He ain't going anywhere, is he? Sadly.
No.
But get a sporting director in and let him, be above him and, doing whatever he needs to do as the king power, bloody voice of football and whatever sport they're involved in. Let him do that. But get someone on the ground who knows what they're doing and do it that way. Then it's not a sacking, is it? It's not. They can save face, which in Thailand is massive, isn't it? So you're not unloyal if Rudkin has to do a more overseeing role and get someone in as a sporting director. That would be my single recommendation they do this summer, but they won't. So I don't know. But yeah, Kieran McKenna again worked under Rudkin supposedly, didn't he? In the academy years and years ago. No, Loughborough Uni. Get him in.
Yeah, and George,
Brendan Jordan.
I was going to say, Kieran McKenna, Brendan Rodgers is his hero. Music to your ears.
I agree with what you both said there. I think we were saying earlier, I'm not really enthused by any of the options, but that's because of the sorry state we find ourselves in. You all know I'm a big Rodgers fan. We've gone from a manager that's finished 5th twice with us, 8th and won a cup, to discussing whether we'd give it Dean Smith. Yeah. I think the Dean Smith thing, and to borrow an analogy off Jake, I think the club are waiting to see if anyone else wants it, and if no one else does, they're going to give it Smith. And I feel a bit sorry for him, really, because I think that's like, it's like having a girlfriend, being with a girl, and thinking, well, she'll do. If no one else wants to be with me, I'll just be with her.
Yeah.
But if something better comes along, I'll get rid of her and I'll get him in.
Yeah.
I mean, the lad from Man City, was it
Maresca? Yeah.
A huge risk, an absolutely huge risk. You're not going to be able to play the kind of football that they're coaching at Man City in the Championship. I mean, you could argue that Burnley have done it, but we haven't got any players. So I do like Scott Parker, I've got to say. I think he's done a good job.
Because he wears tight trousers.
And he was England captain as well, and I've met him before. Nice bloke.
Good. He's a good lad.
But like Rick said, you don't want to be getting a manager in that you get up and then you're like, oh, we'll get rid of him because he's not good enough for the Prem. But like I say, that's the position we find ourselves in. I don't think anyone wants to particularly come to the club because, if I think, will Dean Smith get us back up? Probably not. But would any of the others get us up? Probably not. I mean, I feel like it's a bit like Sunday League at the minute, where you get to the end of the season and you think, "Oh, we're carrying on next year."
Yeah.
He said he's not going to sign on. We've only got 6 definites that are going to sign on. Well, that's what Leicester are like at the minute. We've only got about 6 players. I mean, who wants to come in and oversee this transition? And I've already accepted that we're going to be in the bottom half and we're not going to be in the Premier League for 10 years.
We might have to do a merger, George.
yeah.
Who would we merge with?
We'll amalgamate with Harbour Town
Tigers.
or Colville.
Yeah, Tigers.
But on Rick's point with Tom Kearney, I think that's an interesting one because I'd take him. And I think, again, there is a good player in there somewhere. And sometimes it just goes stale.
He's got the worst strut I've ever seen.
But he might benefit from a fresh start.
But he doesn't walk
like
a normal person.
Though. Yeah. He's nearly 33.
Yeah, but we'll only sign him on a 6-year deal, mate. So.
I'm not against it, but it's coming back to the manager that it's hard to get really excited about those players that are only to get you back up. But that's what's needed. We've got to give our heads a wobble and know that that's what's needed. But it's so difficult to suddenly be like, just get a manager who gets us up. We'll worry about that when we get up. Yeah, that's probably what we'll have to do. But it's hard to pick that, isn't it?
Well, again, you've alluded to it, Jake. I don't really trust the people who are making the decisions above the manager, and we're going to have one of the biggest. We'll have the biggest budget in the football league. We'll be the biggest club in that league. In that 72, we'll be the biggest club by a long way. And you've seen what we've done with money. Our best players cost a tenner normally. You've seen when we've got a lot of money in the Prem, what we do with it. We just squander it, and if we squander it in the football league, we'll be back in League One before you know it. And I mean, I would take Kearney for a year or two, but we wouldn't do that. We'd give him a 5-year deal on about 100 grand a week. We would.
He is on big money at Fulham. He is. And again, it kind of goes back to that point of how have we gone? And I know we need to kind of get over this, but how have we gone from, Brendan Rodgers being linked with, every big club in the Premier League to then, discussing whether it's Dean Smith or, someone else. And how have we gone from James Maddison to then potentially Tom Kearney? It hurts so much how quickly and how far we've fallen. That the fact we're having these conversations, it genuinely is. It's just a bit painful, and I do think we are in store for. But just I don't think we tried to have this chat at the back end of last season, like predicting what would happen next year. I have absolutely no idea what we're going to do next season. I mean, naturally, the bookies have us as one of the favourites, but I don't think anyone can predict at all what Leicester's going to happen. I really don't. I've absolutely no idea. And Jackie, I think you need to pop off. So, mate, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Got an early start tomorrow, so I apologise, but nice to see you
worries,
all.
Mate. Good lad.
See you soon. Mate. See you later.
Yeah, look, let's look to wrap up now anyway and do some kind of any other business. But yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at. And I hate the fact that I am being miserable on the pod. I do. I don't mean to be, but it is just being honest. It's how I feel. As things stand, I'm not looking forward to next season at all. And there was part of me when we did get relegated, I was thinking, okay, Championship will be fun. It is something different. I convinced myself that. But then the football club already, despite the fact it's only been a few weeks, they give me the fear again that they just don't know what they're doing. And just so little is happening. And look, they could well surprise us and negotiate some decent deals in terms of getting the players out the door and then bringing in some exciting, young, fresh players that have spent the last 12 months scouting. But I just think that, Rick, I think that's highly unlikely. I think they've kind of shown us already exactly the way they operate, and it's not that, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Like, they could surprise us. They have done in the past. I do think we have probably been quite fortunate. There's been a big chunk of fortune over the years. There's got to have been. So, do they get a slice of fortune again by somebody applying for the job that then turns out to be immense because we don't trust them being able to go and recruit a manager and unearth one. You never know. Likewise with the place. Theoretically, as Jordan says, we're likely to have one of the biggest budgets the Championship's ever seen because Maddison's going for 40 plus million. Barnes is likely to go for similar. Castagna will go for 15 mil. And Diddy, we might get 10 million for. Samari, 10 years fast. You clock all that up, and even if we decide to learn our lesson and not spend it all, we're still going to spend a good chunk of that. And if you spend that money on young players with a point to prove, players that come into us is a step up as opposed to whatever, we can really build. It's an opportunity to really build something again. But right now, there seems to be no plan. Again, the club's so secretive. How can you have confidence that there's a plan? If they were a bit more open with their intentions. Now, I know they're not going to tell us, war and peace on what they're doing, but you just want a little bit of something that you're like, no, they've understood the gravity of the situation here. They're learning their lesson. The reason why we think they're not is no one's going to lose their job. Okay, it's not all about losing their job. That's a serious thing. But, in big business, that's what happens. No one's going to lose their job off the field in the boardroom. We've still not got a manager. It's so difficult to think that we are going to do anything. You're right. I'm as negative as you are, Jake. I'm a very negative man. And I actually worry what happens if I was positive on this pod. I wouldn't have a lot to say. But, who knows? Let's just hope that they do get a manager in and sort it out. But yeah.
I mean, we're still waiting for the results of this end of season review. I look forward to that. Obviously, never being shared. What was that political thing with Boris Johnson and then Sue Gray? Was that it? The report? Which it's going to be one of them, isn't it?
It is.
We're going to hear about this report, and we're never ever going to hear the findings or see the findings of it because absolutely nothing will happen. Jordan, I'm going to leave the final words with you, mate, in terms of any other business. What do you want to say before we finish up?
I've got no any other business, but going back to the start of the pod, it's just enjoyable not to have your weekend ruined by Leicester losing. The weather's been amazing. I'm off to Malta next week for the England game and then fly straight back to Edgbaston for day 3. The Aussies looking pretty ominous at the Oval against India the last few days, but looking forward to just filling my time with something other than football, a bit of cricket, bit of golf. And then, we end up doing it all over again in August, don't we? Strap ourselves in for 46 league games of it.
Yeah, can't wait. And Rick, sorry, mate, a quick mention of Tielemans. I know we haven't rediscussed him, have we, tonight?
Well, no, and I genuinely think this is the last 24, 48 hours. The outcome of all of this is probably what's hit home most about our demise. Now, it probably says as much about Tielemans and what's happened the last couple of years as it does us. But, 2 years ago, he came out to a guard of honour after we sadly didn't get top 4 against Tottenham, and he had tears in his eyes. And there was a general feeling that he was off because we failed to get Champions League again, and he was a player that deserved Champions League. He just won us the FA Cup. And, he opted not to sign a new deal, and he's run it down, and we've either not moved him on when we should have done, lowering the asking price, etc., whatever. But he's now signed for a football club that have achieved they've not achieved what we'd achieved. They'd achieved what we'd achieved and we were disappointed with. Conference League, we were disappointed when we dropped into that last season. Now, okay, Villa are on the up. They're spending money like it's going out of fashion. It's all there is a bit of impetus there, but it's just ridiculous. We're going to have other players that are going to leave us and join clubs that were worse than us. And it's like, okay, nothing lasts forever. We should have moved these players on earlier, whatever. But that is the sad fact. We have been run into the ground by management, coaches, board, whatever, and the players. The players have run us into the ground, and those same players are then going to go to clubs worse than we were before we've been run into the ground. And that's what stings. So fuck him. And I loved it. I was like, Jordan, no, I watched that video and all he's done for us. I love Tielemans, but go in Villa. Yeah. I joked yesterday, it's like finding out that your ex is shacked up with Anthony Worrell Thompson. And nothing against Anthony, great chef, other than his misdemeanor when he got caught nicking up Tesco. But, it's not good enough. We're better than that.
No, and look, Rick, and I agree. And I've tweeted this a couple of times, and people think I should be a little bit more, I'm not sure what the word is, but I'm quite cold towards Tielemans, and I am. I do think that, yes, you were amazing in the FA Cup final and, before that. But for 2 years, he has been a massive part. Not, I'm talking, there's loads of parts to this, but he has been a part of this team which has been failing. And he has been massively below the levels which he showed he was at. So to then leave the football club because the club isn't where you want it to be, whilst failing to recognise your own role in that, it drives me insane. Leicester
and we made him captain for a lot of it.
Exactly. Leicester were 5th and had just won the FA Cup, and he decided he wasn't going to sign a new contract because he thought he was better than that. 2 years on, he's now signing for 7th place Aston Villa. That is a reflection on him, not Leicester. And he's played a massive part in that, in terms of Leicester's downfall as well. And look, I will always be thankful for him in terms of that FA Cup. It was a great day. It's great memories that will stay with me forever. But I have the same level of apathy towards him as I do any other player that's going to leave this football club. I honestly don't think he cares anywhere near as much as I think people want to believe he does. He thought he was better than us for 2 years, and he's taken his foot off the gas. His own career has stagnated, and he's wasted 2 years. Aston Villa are a club on the up. I've got nothing against them. It's not an awful move for him, but you must be having a laugh if you're telling me that 2 years ago, when he turned down that contract, he envisaged moving to Aston Villa. He wanted Arsenal, he wanted Real Madrid, he wanted Liverpool, and he's got Villa, and that's on him. So look, I've said my farewells, fine, but honestly, I'm not going to give it kind of another moment's thought or any sleepless night over it. I'm genuinely not. So yeah, quite a miserable way to end that one, wasn't it?
No, I like it. Sums it up.
Yeah, right. Quick then reminder for this live pod, 29th of July, buzzing for this, at the Memphis Hub, Wigston. I've tweeted out a link. It is there now. I can't remember exactly how many tickets off the top of my head. I'm I want to say they will sell fast. I've absolutely no idea if they will or they won't. But just to be super safe, get in now and get your tickets, please, for that 29th of July. Tickets online. All the money's going to charity. A Leicester legend will be there. We'll let you know who that is as and when we know when it is ourselves. And hoping as well, Jersey Bud's going to be there for some music. So lads, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We will be back once we've got some more news for you. Hopefully a manager and some players. So kind of nostalgically playing out tonight's episode is the music we used to have, Rick, right at the back of this podcast when you weren't part of it. But I'm sure you remember exactly what this sounded like. But look, thanks once again for listening, and we'll catch you all very, very soon.